has legs or he doesn't have, whether he is hearing or not, the ability of a man is measured by the things that he believes in, how he can achieve them, and how he uses it for the progress of his family and the society at large. Taye, as a power lifter champion who has won a lot of medals to his name, has traveled far and near. He has conquered his fears, built a family, and is doing what men with legs can't do.
My first outing, one bronze medal represent Abuja. So far so good. Life is not really easy, but I didn't look down of myself. I took my faith that I'm going to make it. It's determination. I didn't look myself as a disabled person because I've take that challenge. I've kept it aside. I don't like begging. Even I don't like disabled person begging. We used to encourage them, come and join sport. Nobody is useless. Nobody, even you don't have the two hand. You see a challenge like that, you don't have two leg, you can still find something to do to help yourself like that. So even when I was small, when I'm going on the road, people will dash me money. Take 15 naira, take 20 naira, don't take it. My parents will say, take it now, it's gift, they like you. I say, no, I'm not a beggar, I don't want it. So from small, I don't like somebody to be, I used to tell them, if they want to help me, they will help me. It's not giving me 10 naira, that will not help my life. I don't want it. So nobody is useless.
This is against all odds.
Dreams are formed in our imaginations. Some of these dreams are born when the opportunity presents itself. Some dreams are aborted, and some dreams die. Have you ever wondered why some dreams should be birthed during the darkest parts of your life? Yes, maybe because the darkest parts of the night is dawn and it breaks into the morning. John was told by the doctors that he has 3 years to see, after which he will become blind. He became blind eventually, and all John couldn't achieve as a seeing man, he became it as a blind man. Though he lost some, he gained much more. This is the story of John La, the phone inventor.
At any time, we wanted to go and do the right things, fulfill the right things. As regards marriage, something else will happen. We just come up. Even when the lady that I was in a relationship with have a child for me, my first child.
That's Chelsea.
That's Chelsea. When I got into the whole problem, she was at the first instance. She was with me. We lived together, and we were going to the hospitals. But when it got to her clear, when it became very clear to her that this young man will no longer see in the space of 3 years. Not too many ladies have the capacity to absorb such things. At the time, I didn't even blame her. She doesn't have the capacity to manage situations of this nature. And then she blew up. That's why she absconded. She left me. When I needed her most, she left. The marriage that we were always planning to go and do, everything is gone. I said, okay, maybe Bible says all things work together for good. So I was so confused. In fact, that was at the time that was what even increase the whole problem or burden on me. How can a woman that claim she loves me so much will leave me just because of this situation?
You can never understand what you have never experienced. You can only imagine it. Having a disability is hard enough. Imagine you having a twin disability, 2 sense organ, blind and deaf. Solomon has navigated this path. He keeps emphasizing on the power of the mind.
I want everybody to just try to understand what it is like to be without vision and hearing. Personally, it was so difficult. I admit to everybody there was a time I considered suicide. But using my power of reflection, thinking about it, I really wondered what could it profit me. The whole world would just look at me, another failure. No. That was not what I wanted. At letting people know that disability is really nothing. The only real disability is in your mind. Whatever your situation, economic or social, physical or whatever, it is what you decide in your mind that determines you, not your situation.
Self-denial is the first step to a fall. Self-pity and self-discrimination are the pills that causes disability to eat you faster than cancer. Until Hava snapped out of her shades and faced disability with boldness. She was drowning deep in the ocean with sharks. She fought and won. Today, Ava, a loud, proud disability advocate, flaunting and speaking about it to everyone who cares to listen. A combination of beauty, brains, and a jack of all trade.
It all started on February 9, 2003, that fateful Sunday. I was coming back from church. Not too far from the house, there's an expressway that divides the street. The other side, I was on the other side, so had an accident. A car actually knocked me down, and I woke up in the hospital actually with a broken leg. So the accident seems very minor because I had a broken leg. There was no even outer wound there, just a broken leg inside. So I was in the hospital. The doctors did the necessary what they were supposed to do. Okay, so like barely 2 weeks into the accident, we discovered that an infection have entered my leg. The doctor called it the gangrene or something like that. So we entered the leg and the leg was getting so bad that the veins that transports blood from where to the toes or whatever, I don't know, they got dead, and the leg from the other side was useless. And the only option to salvage the leg and also keep me alive was amputation.
This is against all odds.
Depression, a leading cause of death amongst young and old. It became a thing of worry to us. Depression was eating deep. Mental disability was taking the toll on a lot of people. We found Aino and had a section with her. For some reason, I was glad Aino shared her story. The outcome of Aino's story brought smiles to our faces. It impacted a lot of lives, both parents and their children. Thank you, Aino. Your story saved many. When they are bold enough to share, we will bring it on.
Like my case, I entered University of Abuja at 18. And I was reading law. But somewhere along the line, I think my priorities changed. I picked up smoking, marijuana, drinking alcohol, and cigarettes. I also wanted to be a fashion model. I was always chubby, but I lost weight. So I think that whole skinny feeling got into my head. I wanted to always project myself. So I went into a competition, Face of Slick. And I also moved with the fast crowd, rich kids, only in my case, I couldn't juggle all those things together. So I went for Face of Slick in 2009 and I qualified to top 15 semi-finals, but the grand finals, but I didn't get to top 3. So seeing I was already smoking at that point in my 3rd year, I came back to school. And the school had this internet magazine called Laugh Out Loud, where they posted news of it kids, happening kids, And so my name was there, like our very own Aino went for Face of Slick, they stated my progress, how far I performed, my performance, And I think shame actually is a contribution to depression. I felt shame. I felt like, I tried to prove myself and I couldn't prove myself. So I used to say off campus, not in the hostel. So I would not attend lectures. I would stay in my apartment off campus and smoke cigarettes all day long. I'll take codeine, I'll take marijuana. I started keeping to myself, and I was still thinking, how can I prove myself? Still thinking that there are other ways that I can prove myself, but there were no doors opening.
Women are vulnerable, and the woman with disability is most vulnerable. That is what the world thinks, but in the contrary, world records has it that when a woman sets her mind to run a race, she runs it headlong. And of course, some women with disability are keeping on the pace close match and proving their worth in the world where women are segregated. We celebrate a world Paralympian gold medalist in javelin throw, Flora. She has broken the world records severally and believes with a little push from sponsors, she can conquer the world. Flora is resilient and dedicated. Like her name, she flourishes wherever she's planted.
In Nigeria now, person with disability, we are being marginalized in that aspect. So many companies, they don't see that ability in us. Because, like you asked now, what does it take to get endorsement? It is companies in Nigeria that support. We have so many companies in Nigeria. All this achievement, all these things that I'm mentioning now, we have companies like we have NTA, MTN, we have Glow, we have all those data is Electoral and the rest of them. We have those ones. There are companies that can endorse, like other companies, Mamador, Big, and then many other companies in Nigeria that can endorse person. NNPC can come out and say, for what this person is doing, we can endorse this person. Me, I believe that we have already paid our dues in line of this sport. So many of us, myself, I've paid my dues. I've made my step. I've stood out in everything that concerns my sporting career. So if they are saying it's performance that they are looking for, there is performance. You understand? So there's something they don't understand, that if they endorse persons with disability, wherever you are going for competition, you are advertising for them. And based on saying you are winning that medal, you are a medal prospect. That advert goes a lot more than anybody that will go for competition. You endorse somebody that goes to competition and that person did not deliver. So I believe if they can look beyond this disability and see the ability in us.
It is no longer news that persons with disabilities are resilient. What makes the story different is how far they are able to spring out and spring forth. Art speaks larger than life. It is a mirror. It is an expression of life. It depicts all forms of emotions. Ella uses paintings to tell her stories in different ways. Creative Ella is hard on hearing. She is a dual personality who uses hearing aid to hear. And without her aid, you speak and she stares at you. Quite frustrating, right? In the midst of it, Ella is focused, hardworking, committed to what she does, and has no limit to achieving success.
There was a day, one of my lecturers was in the class, we had a TED, and he said, what is intellect? That's what he asked. What did I hear? What is internet? Now, what would I write down? Definition of internet. Why internet is important. What we do with internet. I filled up that paper answering the wrong questions. The next thing after the TED, I think a day or two, the lecturer called me from outside. He said, Ella, you're very stupid. How could you do that? How can you be asking a wrong question? How can you come to this level you are? And you don't know how to spell intellect. You don't even know how to write. You were writing something different. You were furious. You were angry. You could see the redness in her eyes. You know, I was like, come on. I said, madam, I'm sorry. From that very text till now, I did not know until you mentioned it. If you write it on the board, I will understand. I know this is what you are writing. But when you say it out, I may not get the right word. That is how I have been living every day of my life. I had to go meet her the next day. I was crying because it was so heavy for me. I did everything I could to be able to answer her. I'm sorry, I'm actually getting emotional because it was too painful. I got a less, mark on that court because of what happened. I went to meet her. I said, Auntie, I am too sorry. She said, what are you, Mark? Get out! I said, madam, please calm down. You know I'm not a bad person. I think that was what got her, and then she was able to listen to me. I said, do you know that I did not hear you well when you were talking? She said, why didn't you ask? I said, because that is what you said. If I turn and I'm writing, having text, I cannot talk my fellow courtmate and say, what did he say? That is actually teaching for what, education is about. I mean, when you're doing your exam or you're doing your class work, you're having text, you don't communicate with your fellow students. You say where you are. How would I have done that? I tried my best at that time, to explain things to her. I think she was able to understand, but it was too late because the next few days was my exam. So that was what happened. Okay, that is true. What if when you have the great opportunity standing before you and you share the wrong thing? Are you going to start explaining? You have proof.
Lack of communication causes a lot of untold problems. We visited Gwagwalada Teaching Hospital, where a group of deaf women sensitized staff of the hospital, especially the maternity ward, on the importance of bridging the communication gap by getting interpreters.
Out of many pregnant women, we have also deaf pregnant women here, and also their needs are not met. You will agree with me from what the nurses just shared. A deaf woman lost her pregnancy. This is just one among many, which shows that deaf women don't have self-delivery due to communication barrier. Nurses don't understand our needs during ANC. We need to tell the doctor what our pregnancy needs are, and pregnant women deaf women need to be cared for, and also quality delivery service. But because of lack of sign language interpreters,
we also cover the beautiful event put together by the deaf community in Nigeria for the purpose of showcasing the beauty pageant. Have you ever wondered that a deaf girl can become a beauty queen?
No idea I would be the winner. Honestly, I'm excited. Thank you so much for the support. I thank God, and God bless every one of you. I promise I will work hard by the grace of God. I will do my best. Thank you so much. Thank you, all of you. I love you all.
Last year's celebration of International Day of the Girl Child was done in a colorful way. Against all odds, joined the world to celebrate International Day of the Girl Child at the School for the Deaf in Abuja. It was a day that was set aside to remind our conscience on the importance of the girl child, especially the child with disabilities, and the need to give her an opportunity to strive in the society. Remember, we are all equal. Right to education is key to everyone. The School for the Blind graduated 14 skilled blind students and handed them over to the society with boldness. The event was honorable and colorful. Against all odds was on ground to capture history.
This is against all odds.
Life indeed is a battlefield. We all swim in a river filled with sharks. We are all expected to survive in it. 2022 was absolutely eventful. Because of this, we couldn't refresh your minds with all our episodes, but we scratched the surface. It's 2023 and we are set to begin with you on the new and clean slate. We love you always. Against all odds. MMNA award-winning program, television production of the year.
Like to drive in the rain?
It depends on the velocity of the rain.
And there's the start. The sheriff heads up that way. Archbishop of basketball. Go! He hung on that net like a stalk up a tree.
NTA Sports 24 brings you all sports, all time and all day. Tune in to watch NTA Sports 24 on Star Times Channel 270, Star Sat on Channel 434, and Free TV on Channel 731. NTA Sports 24, where sports thrive.
The struggle for independence had been a long and tough one. Our founding fathers and compatriots sacrificed their comfort and even shed their blood. We cannot at this point in history afford to spirit away their sacrifices for immediate but temporary gains of today. Let us emphasize what unites and not what divides us. Working for the unity of purpose with a stronger vision for a better tomorrow. NTA, growing with the nation.
Hello everyone. Proud African Roots presents a fun time for children and teenagers across Nigeria and the globe.
Everything to yourself.
I don't need a torch. I just need that.
You learned a thing or two from showing every Saturday by 9:30 a.m. on NTA network. It is going to be a fun time with Grandma Wura and all the Blue Table Talk with Dave and Jen. Catch you soon.
More job opportunities in sight as President Buhari inaugurates Lekki Deep Sea Port.
Federal government clarifies alleged outbreak of deadly flu from China.
There is an outbreak of any flu or disease anywhere, we hear it first from the World Health Organization. The World Health Organization has not said anything about such a flu.
Future Assure Trust sponsors free heart surgery to vulnerable children.
Good morning, Nigeria. Today we'll discuss the latest on PVC collection.
So it's just a few days to the closure of the collection of permanent voters' cards, PVCs, and more Nigerians of voting age have continued to make efforts to obtain their PVCs to enable them, of course, discharge their civic responsibility in February 25.
That's right, Claire. Now, reports from the Independent Electoral Commission indicate that over 12,200,000 persons, of course, were registered, out of whom 9 million and some 500,000 are said to have been validated after a thorough cleanup of the data.
And as part of that, the electoral process, INEC began the collection of PVCs on December 12, 2022, that was last year, and scheduled to end that process on January 22nd, which was yesterday.
Yeah, right, Claire. But on account of popular request, the electoral umpire extended the collection date to the 29th of this month, when it will thereafter be suspended for the elections that will hold on the February 25th and 11th of March.
Indeed, there are popular demand and pressures indeed from other watchers of the electoral process. But apart from the new registered voters, old voters who transferred or who sought to transfer their voting locations or made correction to their personal details such as names, dates of birth, addresses, and so on and so forth are also part of this going to collect or seeking to collect their PVCs.
Now, reports from various parts of the country show that new voters are trooping to their respective collection centers to pick up their PVCs.
Indeed, but there are complaints of delaying the process by some voters and alleged inducement of INEC officials to facilitate quick collection of the cards.
Now, we're just less than a week, as it were, to the end of the collection exercise. What are those challenges that militate against the quick distribution of the cards? And how cumbersome is the process of just my collection of a card? Now, will the remaining PVCs be collected in good time to enable all eligible voters participate in next month's elections? And should INEC accede to calls for further extension of the time for collection of PVCs? Answers to these questions and more will form our conversation segment today as we look at the latest on PVC collection. Good morning and welcome to Good Morning Nigeria. My name is Kingsley Osadolo.
All right, the process may seem mere collection of PVCs, but when you do get to your ward or collection areas and see the mammoth crowd and the way, the conduct of the people themselves, then you will know it's a Herculean task, really, collecting just PVCs. And on that note, I welcome you to the program. I am Claire Adilabu Abdul Razak, and of course, the program is reaching you live on the network service of the NTA. And as usual, we have the complimentary segments. They will come in their formal formats as usual. We'll begin soon with highlights of the morning news, and then later there'll be business news, and much later we'll be joined by Chukwudu Kodibaja for a review of the newspapers. For now, we'll join Zenret Dimam with the highlights of the morning news. Good morning, Zenret.
Good morning, Claire. Kingsley. Good morning, and here's the news. The Lekki Deep Seaport, driven by the Buhari administration's vision of bequeathing a legacy of poverty elimination through the provision of job-creating infrastructure, has been inaugurated. President Muhammadu Buhari performed the ceremony at the commencement of his two-day state visit to Lagos, the center of excellence.
Area agreement. Mr. President, you can see that it's been a total combination of federal government, Lagos State, and the private sector. And we're happy that this is happening in your time, within your time, and it's been completed within your time as well. I'm indeed excited that the size of the vessels that will be coming in here could be up to 4 times the size of vessels that are currently docked at both Tika and Apapa Port. So it's a big massive infrastructure, and we're really excited that in your time, something fresh has been battered into this country. It's going to generate thousands and thousands of jobs directly, and hundreds of thousands of jobs indirectly.
Presidency says any state government that is committed to improving the lives of Nigerians through execution of developmental projects that target job and wealth creation will continue to receive the support of the federal government. The president gave the assurance at a special state banquet organized in his honor by Lagos state government during his two-day working visit to the state.
Being working today, mutual government without collaboration between the federal and Lagos state governments and the involvement of the private sector as well. The commitment to unleashing the full potential of Nigeria's private sector should never be in doubt. Let me also summarize the journey the last 3.5 years, 4 years now, in our team's agenda, and which have now committed in those things significant projects, convictions, and commissioning and progress.
President Muhammadu Buhari says he is satisfied that he has fulfilled his pre-election promise to serve Nigeria and Nigerians conscientiously. with high sense of responsibility and to the best of his ability. Speaking at the palace of the Emir of Bauchi during a courtesy visit, the president consequently made a strong case for his worthy legacies in critical economic sectors be sustained by returning the governing APC to power.
I made the promise and the pledge that I will serve Nigeria and Nigeria to the best of my ability. I hope I haven't disappointed anybody.
And President Muhammadu Buhari will depart Lagos for Senegal later today, where he will attend the second edition of the Dakar International Conference on Agriculture. A statement by the Special Advisor on Media and Publicity to the President, Femi Adesina, indicates that the theme of the summit to be hosted by President Macky Sall of Senegal and the chairperson of the African Union is Feeding Africa, Food Sovereignty and Resilience. There will also be side meetings to discuss delivery of food and agricultural products in some countries, including Nigeria. African heads of states and government ministers of finance and agriculture and development will also attend the summit. President Buhari is expected back in the country on Wednesday, January 25th. And as part of the First Lady's initiative towards improving health care delivery to Nigerians, Future Assured, in collaboration with a team of cardiothoracic surgeons from Italy, are performing free heart surgery to vulnerable children. The pilot exercise is currently taking place in Abuja, with 9 children suffering from different types of congenital heart diseases.
Journey a few months ago, where she had several meetings with the cardiothoracic team from Italy and the Nigerian team from the Federal Medical Center, Jabi. And this collaboration, she wanted to ensure that she gave free heart surgeries to vulnerable children that don't have the means to provide for their surgeries.
I've passed through a lot. Money, the energy. At times, 4 years shy, I'll be backing up and down anywhere I goes to.
I'm very happy because throughout these years, that 2 years, it has been stressful and I have to quit my job just to make sure that he's okay. I'm very happy that now he will be fine.
Federal government says it is yet to ascertain the authenticity of the viral report on an alleged outbreak of an unknown deadly flu from China, but remains vigilant to ensure total safety of the Nigerian populace. Minister of Health Dr. Sagi Ehamire, while speaking at a media conference in Abuja, said surveillance at all points of entry into Nigeria is heightened and advised citizens to be circumspect about such news. On the reported upsurge in Lassa fever cases in Edo State, as well as diphtheria outbreak in some parts of the country, Dr. Ehamire explained that the federal government has been proactive with response and necessary interventions.
It's an outbreak of any flu or disease anywhere. You hear it first from the World Health Organization. The World Health Organization has not said anything about such a flu. We also hear from the U.S. Center for Disease Control. There is nothing like that also from there. And we have not even heard anything from the Chinese people. Usually, their embassy will send somebody to come and inform us, as usual. And also for Port Health Services to be alert and awake for screening. They are doing their due diligence in checking all arrivals from outside the country.
President Muhammadu Buhari has applauded the management of Federal Inland Revenue Service for repositioning the nation's tax system, thereby sustaining the upward trajectory in revenue receipts for sustainable national growth and economic prosperity. This was when the executive chairman of the service, Mohammed Nani, presented to him the 2022 Performance Update Report, which shows an unprecedented collection of 10.1 trillion in tax revenue.
Various reforms internally, in which we are able to automate our processes. Now, by June 2021, you recall that we introduced our tax formats, which today is a game changer in the FIRS. Our collection continues to improve on an annual basis. Through the tax formats also, today, you don't need to visit FIRS to be able to do tax clearance certificate. I always share with people that statutorily you have 2 weeks to apply for and get tax clearance. In the past, it takes even more than that. Today, you can use 1 minute to start processing and get your tax clearance without necessarily visiting the FIRS.
And that's the news for now. Good Morning Nigeria continues with Claire and Kingsley after this break. Please stay with us.
The truth untold. We restored democracy. We initiated due process. We created the EFCC and ICPC. We brought Nigeria out of debt by achieving $18 billion worth of relief and $30 billion overall reduction. We revived the rail system. We upgraded agriculture. We brought in the mobile phone and digitalized Nigeria. Under the PDP, the Nigerian economy was the strongest in Africa. Though Nigerians made their choice, today we all know better. Nigerians, do not despair. Hope is in the horizon. We are putting in the work and refreshing our drive to rescue and rebuild Nigeria. Together, let's make it happen. PDP. Power to the people.
She's a superstar, I shall never let her never down. She's beautiful. She would my body. Bones at the table, please. Esther. I love you too. Don't forget I'll pick your
Airtel, the smartphone network. As the 2023 elections draw near, remember, evil prospers when good men and women only wish for peace, but never take a step to make peaceful elections happen. Are you a father? Are you a mother? What are you saying to your children as the elections approach? Have you warned them not to let themselves be used to cause violence? Have you explained to them what the consequences of electoral violence might be? Do your part to make peaceful elections happen. Talk to your children. Protect them from unscrupulous politicians who want to put them in harm's way, while their own children are comfortable at home, within and outside the country. Let's join hands to make 2023 elections peaceful. This message is from the National Orientation Agency, NOAA.
It's a for Nigeria. Oh, better days are coming. Better days that bring some hope and strength. Determined to keep the hope alive. Bring them spark back to all Nigeria.
It's a new dawn in Nigeria. Renewed hope beckons on our people. The silver lining dots the skies. The feminine portents a bright future as the people of Nigeria move to vote a man whom they have come to trust for the realization of their aspirations for a better Nigeria. That man is Asiwaju Bola Tinubu. He has been tested. He can be trusted. Vote Asiwaju Bola Tinubu as President of Nigeria 2023. Vote Kashim Shettima as Vice President. Vote APC. Surely with Bola Ahmed Tinubu, the smiles are returning. We are close to home.
Bring them spark back to all Nigerians.
The security challenges we are faced as a government have been daunting, from terrorism to banditry, to kidnapping, to separatist violence, to crude oil theft, to armed robbery, and sundry crimes. It's undoubtedly the greatest challenge to the peace and security of our great country since the Civil War of 1967 to 1970. It's the kind of challenge that would have overwhelmed many nations. But thanks to the purposeful leadership of President Muhammadu Buhari, we can say, I want to repeat, that the worst is over, and peace and security are gradually returning to the land.
This message is brought to you from the Federal Ministry of Information and Culture.
All right, welcome back, and it's Tuesday's edition of Good Morning Nigeria, and we thank you for joining us. Let's move on now to business news. And for details, Kunde Adeye is reporting that development experts are calling for the use of artificial intelligence in approaching complex tasks and creative production. And I will say high time too.
Development experts are driving the conversation on using artificial intelligence to carry out complex cognitive tasks and creative production. This is in a bid to promote growth and development. This came up during a conversation on artificial intelligence and white-collar jobs at the sidelines of the World Economic Forum in Davos. The panelists were assessing the disruptive capability of artificial intelligence towards societal growth and development in different sectors.
Human beings and AI-powered bot working side by side, where I'm offloading some work to my digital co-worker and say, here is my, just continuing the example, mortgage application, you process it while I do something else. When the answer comes back, here is the next set of work, you do it while I do something else. Just like we all work with a computer, 95% of us will work with our digital co-workers. That's just the future of work.
But embrace it and do more and better writing and art than we've ever done before. It should be a time of flourishing. I also want to underscore what Genevieve brought up earlier about humans. One of our natural strengths is flexibility, and we also talked about emotional intelligence, and machines don't have that breadth of knowledge, and so that we're going to start relying on that more and more.
And the equities market on Monday closed on a positive note as investors gained 34.2 billion naira. The all-share index inched up 0.12% to close at 52,657.69 points. A total turnover of 143 million units of securities valued at 1.7 billion were traded in 4,078 deals. Equity capitalization closed the session at 28.61 trillion naira. FBN Holdings, Charms Holdings and Guarantee Trust Holding company dominated activities in terms of volume. With business news, I'm Kunle Adeye.
All right, thank you very much there for the business package on Good Morning Nigeria. Up next for us is newspaper review.
All right, and so time to welcome our newspaper reviewer, Chukwudi Okoli-Ubaja, to do the needful. Good morning, Chukwudi.
How are you?
Very well.
Good morning.
Chukwudi, good to see you.
Same here, Kingsley.
All right, let's begin by taking some headlines from the window page of Leadership newspaper, and above the name flag, you have the following headlines. Lekki Deep Sea Port targets $361 billion revenue and 200,000 jobs. FIRS rakes in 10.1 trillion naira in 2022, sets highest collection record. And below the nameplate, you have this briefing story which is trending. It says Sokoto residents reject old naira notes. And then also there on the front page, you have Obi in Katsina vows to tackle poverty. All northern governors are behind Tinubu, that's according to Lalong. And diphtheria of Kano, 3 others record 123 cases and 38 deaths. The lead story says more patients at risk as myths drain blood banks. You have the infographics there as to the reasons for the blood bank deposit, reasons for the blood bank deficit in the country. There's ignorance, infrastructural challenges, health workers' attitude, as well as illiteracy. So, Claire, those are the headlines from the front page of the leadership. Let me quickly also take a couple of headlines from the New National Star. Above the nameplate says, "Sit at home. Ohaneze places $50,000 bounty on Ekpa." Ohaneze places $50,000 bounty on Ekpa. And Bedway, appeal court sacks Father Alia. Others fresh primary in 11 LGAs within 14 days. Killers of Imo local government boss threaten. They're making a threat there. Details of that you find on page 20. And confusion as APC's Bauchi rally ends abruptly. Jonathan absent as PDP and Atiku campaign in Bayelsa. Okay.
Okay, and the Punch is leading with the APC rally in Lagos and Bauchi states yesterday. It says power outage disrupts APC rally, stops Buhari Tinubu speeches. It comes with 2 riders. APC National Working Committee to probe incident says Bauchi rally is successful. And Buhari supporting Tinubu directed governors to ensure victory. Pagudu. Cash swap just top the nameplate there. Cash swap. CBN bars Abuja, Lagos BS operators. You can read up details on page 19. Now, Lagos projects jobs as president opens rice mill and Lekki deep sea ports. You can find details on that on page 20. And there are other stories, of course, said on the diphtheria. Federal government deploying response team as case rises. It's on page 8. Okay, these are some of the stories. And Chukwudi.
Yes.
Over to you now.
Thank you, Claire. There's a plethora of stories there, but these days you need to pick through newspapers. And let's not begin to indict our brothers. News is becoming a bit suspect. So let's go to what I see as substance in all of this. And in the area of health, remember, one of the first things I applauded when you gave me the privilege of coming here to do this was how NTA still manages to discuss issues away from the obsession with politics and governance. I'm not saying we're not discussing that, but we still remember what we spread broadcasting all over. And that is very good. So this time they are talking about more patients being at risk as myths drain blood banks. Nigeria has about 50,000 blood units. That's what it gets annually. As against the World Health Organization's recommendation of 2 million blood units annually. You can see that's a very big shortfall there. Now, the president of Nigerian Association of Resident Doctors, that's Dr. Emeka Oji, is saying that the reason for what is happening is that there seems to be apathy from lack of knowledge and awareness about blood donation. Then somebody at the same event also said that health workers' attitude could also be blamed for this. But there is one that we should not, that should not raise our eyebrows, knowing the kind of society we live in. They are talking about myths, some kind of beliefs by the people as also being responsible. That they didn't add, I know a religious group that does not believe in blood transfusion. So if they don't believe in blood transfusion, how could you expect any of their members to go and donate blood? Now they're giving us a fact that should help us help the hospitals and help accident victims. Each healthy adult has about 4.5 to 5.5 liters of blood in their system. And what is required from them is just a pint of blood. Now, they are telling us that there is a large window for you to easily recover or regain, because they didn't make you a patient by taking blood from you. Regain whatever you have given out within a short period of time, and that your stock, if I may use that word, is not threatened in any way. So I think that what is needed here is education. It's just like what we're talking about concerning voter education. It also affects something like blood donation. I think we should have units that go about telling people how safe it is for them to donate blood. But I'm not trying to wind the Yaro Park experience in Benin City. In those days, when some University of Benin students would go empty the system, and some of them were practically brought back to the campus in trucks and all that. We are not saying you give out everything. We want to retain something. That was the Yaro Park experience in those days at Uniben. Yeah. Now, the other story I'm bringing up here, which I think has substance, is the 10.1 trillion naira collection recorded in 2022 by the Federal Inland Revenue Service. Now, this is very good. What it means is that our capital and recurrent estimates are getting a source for being, serviced. But maybe more importantly is the fact that FIRS has succeeded in digitizing the process of tax collection. FIRS has succeeded in increasing the number of people they have dragged into the tax net. And I think this is quite good. I remember when I was in primary school, people from the DO's office, DO was Divisional Police Officer, would come then, and between the Buluku and the Seluku, they would relay farmers who were coming back from farm because they were not paying tax. I remember that my father abandoned his rickety bicycle in one instance and thought they were going to take it into the back of the truck to Ogwashuku. But when they had finished on that day, they considered that the bicycle was going to be more of a problem than an asset. He eventually went and collected his bicycle at about 8 p.m. I have reported my father as a tax defaulter in those days. Claire, don't laugh at me, because maybe if yours was not being taken compulsorily from source, I don't know whether you will readily pay. I hope I've indicted you enough to make you say something that benefits the program.
Mom is the word.
Mom is the word. It's okay.
All right.
I was actually joking, please.
Let's talk about, I remember, although the Minister of Health has said there's been no confirmed, case of the whatever alleged flu, from China. I remember some time ago, Kingsley wasn't here, it was Kirian. I raised the issue about, being proactive against the new strain of COVID and all that. Now we're having diphtheria, and diphtheria is a disease. It's a serious disease that affects nose, throat, and of course sometimes it also impacts on the skin. Now this paper is saying Kano, Lagos, and Yobe. And Kano and Lagos are two of the states with huge population. Yes, so that's
also the reason it gets easily transmitted.
Exactly. So it's worrisome, and I think we should begin to take sensitization more seriously now. Yes, to curtail further spread. It's there. It says the federal government deploys response team as case rises. We shouldn't wait until case rises before we do that. Before it gets out of hand. And another, Kisley, you want to say something about that?
Not on that. I have two other stories to draw attention to. One is on page 12 of the Leadership newspaper, and this has to do with data from the devastating floods of last year. The National Emergency Management Agency has disclosed that 662 persons died from the catastrophic floods of last year in different parts of the country. and that over 3,000 suffered various forms of injury, and 2.4 million persons were displaced by the floods. Of course, these numbers came out at their seminar in preparation for their yearly activities to say, last year this is what happened. I'm sure we discussed this topic on a number of occasions as communities, farmlands, and properties were submerged by the floods. And nobody, of course, is at this time talking about the losses arising from the farmlands where farmers lost their crops. And nobody is also talking about whether there is any insurance compensation. We did say that we did warn, the experts were also here to lend their authoritative voices to that we have to be wary of the impact of those floods on our food security system. Now we are in the dry season. Have the farmers been provided with the necessary inputs? Have they also been encouraged to take advantage of the dry season so as to compensate for the huge losses that they suffered during the floods of last year? And then for those persons who were displaced down the river, particularly in rivers and more particularly Bayelsa and Delta, what is their condition at the moment?
Coastline dwellers. You know, Kingsley, what you talked about is a very important issue. My unease arises from the ritual, the annual ritual it seems to have become. Everybody comes to tell you, oh, one dam in Cameroon gets released and water, a deluge comes down all the way to Taraba, up to Kogi and the rest of it. Are there remedial measures that can be taken to devastate what climate change has already exacerbated? That word has always been a problem for me. What are there things we can do to preempt? We can't stop Mother Nature, but are there remedial measures we can take? You talked about people who have been displaced about that. Even the manure on the soil, some of it gets washed away, and we have degraded the soil, and the agrarian activity on it is not going to be particularly. These are issues we need to handle.
Is it remedial for what now?
Oh, how we can reduce the deluge? Is it that we need to construct more drains?
Yes, because what the UN is advocating is adaptation. You need to devise ways of adapting, because this is all part of climate change. And as long as contributors to gas emission will not take proactive step or take the steps towards reducing the gas emission seriously, then it will continue. The world will continue.
Climate change, to me, the African scenario might not really be climate change thing. It could be more of what we are not doing in terms of where we build, in terms of the kind of constructions we carry out, because the glacier is nowhere near us melting here, and our topography is not one that connects easily to water from melting ice pouring on us. That is my opinion.
We exacerbate the impact of climate change by our action.
Thank you very much.
I wanted to use it.
We're also concerned about urban flooding. Which is where urban planning and land use issues are very critical. River flooding is also there. Our dams. The experts are always in the studios. Professor Emmanuel Adanu, for instance, will talk about the state of the dams. We're in the dry season now. Are those dams being depleted so that they can impound more water?
Thank you, Kingsley.
I don't think I've not heard any of those stories. I've not read any of those stories. So that you get into February, March, April, and then the rains start to come, and then we start crying all over again about floods.
We get to see. Sorry.
Congratulations on the commissioning of the Lekki Deep Sea Port.
Oh, that's a great one.
Big story, no question about that. It has an extensive draft. Therefore, it can take monster ships that will come to discharge their cargoes. So Lagos now has Apapa Port, Tinkan, Island Port, and then the Lekki Deep Sea Port. But one concern that I've always raised, and I've never found any satisfactory response to it, Lekki Deep Seaport will welcome ships. The ships will discharge their cargoes. How do you take those cargoes from the Lekki Deep Seaport to the hinterland? Or are you now going to have baby vessels that will take the cargoes from the Lekki Deep Seaport to Apapa, cause more congestion, to Tinkan, cause more congestion, or go elsewhere to the country? I'm asking this question because the Lekki Peninsula is a narrow stretch of land that goes into the sea. The access for you to get out of the Lekki Deep Seaport, are you going to be coming through the Lekki-Ekpe Expressway to come into Lekki, to come into Victoria Island, to come into Ikoyi, and which bridges are you going to use to take them? Or are you going to go through Ekpe? Are those bridges that connect part of Ekpe over the wetlands, are those bridges designed for the kind of the volume and number? I don't know. It's just so well. Because when you look second stage of the plan, when you look at what has been happening around Tinkan and Apapa, with those trucks parked on the bridges, those bridges are endangered. Is that what we are going to be seeing also on the weight on the bridge? And they said we're supposed to have constructed a rail line. I hope that will commence pretty soon, because there's an inland port, Baro in Niger. After Baro has been constructed, major challenge, access road.
All right, gentlemen, Chukwudi, we'll get to see development comes gradual, steady. The one thing is that we are talking. Yeah, exactly. And believe it or not, we are being listened to. Chukwudi, we'll see you. I'm not really money. Thank you. See you tomorrow. All right. This is Good Morning Nigeria live on the network service. Let's take a short break. When we come back, we'll begin our conversations on PVC collection.
Our country people, they talk with one voice. Them say, Asiwaju Bola Tinubu them runs as president of Nigeria for this president election. Asiwaju Bola Tinubu are the man we all know and see all the good work in they do for the country, especially when in the governor of Lagos State. Now, God, you turn Lagos to the best state for Nigeria. Today, many people all over Nigeria, they like to go Lagos, go settle down for business and better life. And because of the good work when Bola Tinubu do, people of Nigeria, as Asiwaju do for Lagos, now so him ready to do am for the whole country. Vote Asiwaju Bola Tinubu for president of Nigeria. Vote Chief Shettima as vice president. Vote APC, the party wey get broom.
Introducing an all-time mega offer. Get over 50% discount in the Airtel Home Broadband Mega Offer. Buy a router for just 10,000 Naira and get up to 240 gigabyte or a MiFi for 5,000 Naira and get up to 125 gigabyte bonus data. More data, more you. Reliable home broadband by Airtel, the smartphone network.
The violent and criminal activities of indigenous people of Biafra and its armed wing, the Eastern Security Network, present the greatest threat in the Southeast zone. However, kidnapping for ransom, armed banditry, communal clashes have been some of the security threats that bedevil the region. Accordingly, joint military operations are being conducted in the southeast to overcome the threats and to entrench peace and security. The military effort, in collaboration with other security agencies, are achieving the set objectives, which are the defeat of the threat and restoration of peace and security in the region.
This message is brought to you from the Federal Ministry of Information and Culture. To every politician, as the campaigns gain momentum and passions begin to rise, remember, the errors of your opponents do not make you a success. Do not run down your opponent and inflame passions to violence between and among your supporters. What counts is what you plan to do for the electorate and how you intend to relieve the sufferings and bring succor. Nigeria is in dire need of patriotic leaders at all levels, leaders who will make national development their priority. Concentrate on telling the electorate what you intend to do when you get into office. Focus on making your vision clear to the electorate. Don't engage in verbal abuses, fake news or speeches. Keep dealing with issues that will bring progress. You win the hearts and minds of the people by being above board, by being civil, patriotic, and showing empathy. Let's join hands to make the 2023 elections peaceful. A message from the National Orientation Agency.
All right, welcome back again. And if you've just joined and you're watching Good Morning Nigeria, our conversation today will be centered on the PVC collection with just few days to the deadline extended, of course, by INEC. And we'll take our background reports, of course, put together by our correspondent, Joseph Oten.
It is 33 days to the 2023 general elections, and fillers from various INEC permanent voter cards collection centers across the country are indicating many Nigerians are willing to participate in the exercise. The centers have continued to witness large turnout of registered voters, with many complaining of slow pace of the process. To ensure registered voters have ample opportunity to collect their PVCs ahead of the forthcoming elections, INEC resumed distribution of the cards at the 774 local government offices across the Federation between 12th December 2022 to 22 January 2023.
There is a serious preparedness from the electoral side, but INEC really disappointed us.
The only thing that INEC has a right to send people to the polling units, and if they send people to the polling units and then people don't come out to pick their PVCs, then they should say that the people have refused to come out to get their PVCs. But if they don't do that, I strongly think that we are not going to get it right if we don't do that.
People will never collect plenty pass, so people will don't collect. So may they extend them. Me, I don't say may they extend them.
With overwhelming turnout of people, INEC had to extend the deadline until January 29th, 2023, saying it is encouraged by the turnout of registered voters and the surge in the number of collected PVCs. In some of the states, he pointed out that as many as 100,000 PVCs were collected within 5 days since the devolution to ward level.
I came here, I'm from the way the INEC officials are attending to people. They have been very good to people and they are doing their work very well.
I feel good, I'm happy. And I encourage every other person to do as well.
In Cross River State, I don't think there's any election that will actually hit like 500,000 votes. And I'm actually looking forward for us hitting 500 and above if truly we really want a change in our democracy.
With 93,469,008 voters registered for the general polls as released by INEC, the question remains how many will end up having the tool to make vital choices during the February 25th and 11th of March 2023 elections. Will the additional days be enough? And how smooth has the exercise been? Are there any other innovations the Commission would have adopted to make PVCs accessible easily to voters? And above all, what will be the implication on INEC preparation for the 2023 general elections? Guests on Good Morning Nigeria will analyze these issues and share perspectives.
All right, thank you very much, Joseph Olsen, for that background. With us in the studios to discuss these issues around PVC collection, we'd like to welcome the Deputy Director in charge of ICT at the Independent National Electoral Commission, Bimbo Oladunjoye. Bimbo Oladunjoye, we're glad to have you this morning.
Thank you. Good morning, sir.
Also here with us in the studios is Yetunde Bakare, Program Manager, Yaga Africa. Yetunde, good morning and welcome to the program.
Thank you for having me.
All right.
Yeah. And our correspondents, of course, will be joining us from different parts of the country. And Kingsley Amajiri will be joining us from Port Harcourt Center. Is our NTA correspondent. You can see him there. Although his face is a bit dark, we hope to lighten up that so that we can see his face clearly. Kingsley Amajiri will be joining us from Port Harcourt. Chigono Aro is our NTA correspondent, joining us in Enugu. You can see there, she's of course the lady in red. And Mustafa Abdullahi is our NTA Kano correspondent, is joining us via Zoom, and is of course in white. And we will have Sadatu Anwar Salihu, who is joining us from Lafia, that's in Nasarawa State. For now, let me welcome all of you. Thank you very much for joining us. We also have Lagos. We have in Lagos Joel Pupuola. Of course, Joel has been monitoring development, and he is joining us from our Lagos Network Center. Joel, good to see you. Thank you for joining us.
Good morning. Thank you.
All right, Joel, let's begin today's conversation with you. We know that a number of states have announced work-free days, more especially for civil servants, to enable them go collect their PVCs. Lagos doesn't appear to be one of those states, but a couple of states in the south, I believe, or in the southwest, have so announced that their workers should go take some 2 or 3 days off to collect their PVCs. Now, Lagos, of course, ranks amongst the top states with the number of eligible voters. What has been the situation with the PVC collection in the state?
The situation here in Lagos has been a case of mixed feeling. In some areas, people came out en masse to collect their PVC, but the process seems to be a bit slow. The pace at which INEC is responding to the crowd. In some cases, people spend 4 days, 3 days, waking up as early as 4 a.m. in the morning, going to the registration areas to collect their PVC, but not many of them will become successful at the end of the day, and this is creating a lot of anxiety within the registration areas earlier. And now that it is now at the local government areas, we do hope INEC will speed up things. But basically, in certain areas, in the areas with high population, the collection of PVC has been very cumbersome in those areas. But in areas like the Highland, it has been itch-free to a large extent.
Okay, but Joel, I want to say with you as well. Is there anything that you noticed or you can tell us that is the core issue, apart from the crowd in the high populated areas, the other areas where we talked about? What could be the reason for the delay? Is it that the INEC staff are deliberately slowing the process, or is it that the conduct of the people is making it difficult for INEC staff to? Can you just tell us exactly what is the cause of the delays?
In some areas like Okota, the turnout was massive, and the people were the crowd, they were a bit rowdy. And when you compare the crowd with the personnel deployed by INEC, it is a bit the numerical strength of the personnel is low when you just oppose it with the crowd. And in some cases, the process actually is slow because you need to check your name, you need to go through several rigorous process before you collect your PVC. And the average time they spend on the person for a person to collect is about 20 to 15 minutes minimum. And by the time it takes about 20-15 minutes to give a person for a prospective voter to get the PVC, and you have over 1,000 people, definitely you may not be able to complete that process for days. And some of them have been advocating that INEC should deploy more personnel to such areas and probably think outside the box and do more to ensure this process goes itch-free.
Joe, I'm wondering, I mean, you are reporting to us that it takes about 15 minutes to process the collection of just one PVC, so that in 1 hour you can only deal with 4 PVCs. What is it? You don't have to write an examination to get a PVC, or what is it? I mean, I'm just explain to our viewers so that we have a clearer understanding. You are supposed to come with your registration slip, and if it is an organized and orderly manner, and you say, look, my name is Osadolo, for instance, that's my last name. So in an alphabetical order, you would know where your PVC is, and then you go there and you present it. What about evidence? Are they using beavers at the locations?
Doing all this, some people's name will not be found, and if their names are not found, they will not be able to get their PVC. And another person who is on the queue, the person may also have encountered similar problem. So the process, by the time you are for like 30 minutes, you are dealing with people whose names are not found or whose cards have been omitted, then definitely it is going to be a tedious exercise, and people will have to check back some other time to see if they will be able to get the PVC. That is the delay that we are encountering in places that I observed in some of the registration areas that I visited in Okota, Lagos Island, Lagos Mainland, Oshodi Solo, and so many other places.
Okay, Joel, let's just allow you to take a break for now. We'll come back because Lagos has huge population, and I'm sure that you will have more to tell us. But let's again go to Port Harcourt. That's another interesting environment. Kingsley, what are the peculiar, challenges that you also observed in the course of your monitoring the PVC collection?
Well, here in Port Harcourt, initially there was this same issue of crowded centers before INEC decentralized the centers to various registration areas, which we call wards. With the decentralization to various wards, it appears very easier for people to collect their PVCs. It takes about 5 minutes, 5, 6, 7 minutes to get the PVCs. But there are also a key challenge people are going through. Most of people who initially registered and got their slips, when they come back for this to collect their PVCs, many of them are disappointed. The issues we encounter, those who did multiple registration, their names are omitted. They can't get the PVCs. There are also the peculiar issue, the issue of proxy collection. I encountered a lady at the Rumodara Axis. Her complaint was that she came to collect her PVC and she was told by the INEC officer there that someone else collected her PVC. And she had been going from one point to the other. No one is giving her an explanation of the whereabouts of her PVC. And she came with her card. There are also a guy I encountered who said his own brother collected on his behalf and brought to him. These are peculiar issues. There are also the issue of uncompleted registration. People who did register and they were told successful, who now came back to collect these PVCs. At the point of collection, you are told your process was uncompleted. And also the issue of those who initially they were told that their names are not on the register. Like one man I encountered is an estate surveyor. He said in 2011 he registered. In 2015 his card got missing. He tried to register in 2019 and they told him that his name wasn't on the INEC paper. So he was asked to do fresh registration, which he did successfully. He came to collect and he was told that he did multiple registration. These are the peculiar challenges people are going through. Many persons that hoped to collect these PVCs are quite disappointed in the process. And some persons, when you go to the registration center where they are collecting these PVCs, there's also a number of these cards that are lying there. Possibly they are unable to locate the centers where their cards are, which I think INEC need to do more in terms of communication, either by sending text messages to the owner, because they register with their phone numbers, either giving them specific location where these cards are, so that it will be easier for them to collect these cards. Quite a number of these cards are the INEC wards collection, that collection center, but many persons I think are not aware of the present location of their cards. These are challenges people are going through.
All right, Kingsley Amajiri, thank you very much there for your detailed explanation. We'll come back to you later on in the course of the conversation. Let's go over now to our Kano correspondent, Abdullahi Mustafa. Mustafa, tell us, Kano, of course, is another heavily populated location on the country's electoral map, as well as, of course, population census. What is the situation with PVC collection?
The situation is in Kano State is almost similar with that of Lagos and Port Harcourt. The collection centers are still there operating, and people are going there, but there seems to be a low turnout of prospective voters for collection of the PVCs. But in some instances, like over the weekend in Abuja local community, I had a chat with the person issuing the PVC, and she told me that the problem they were having is, apart from the low turnout, some people do come and ask for their PVCs, and their names were not there. And the explanation she used to give them is that maybe during the continuous voter registration exercise, the location, their polling unit was wrongly maybe written, or the person gave wrong information with regards their location. So in that regard to their local government offices to verify the status of their registration. But the situation of recent, as confirmed by the head of voter education and the public relations officer of the INEC in Kano, people are continuously coming out. But before, in the past few weeks, there were the number was continuously decreasing. But of recent, even the politicians in the course of their campaign rallies, they do ask their supporters to go and collect their PVCs. Actually, there is no any campaign on the mass media, but along the politicians themselves on all the political parties asking the eligible voters, their supporters, to go and collect their PVCs. And as of the 1st of January, or the first week of January, about 24% of the 444,000 PVCs were collected. So that was not encouraging according to INEC. But at present, yesterday I confirmed from the head of water education that there are less than 150, but they are still hoping that people come before the collection deadline ends.
All right, thank you very much, Abdullahi Mustafa, for your. We'll also keep you on hold for now and go to Enugu, where our correspondent Chigono Aro is. Chigono, what can you tell us about the situation with PVC collections in the coast city? Are there challenges other than maybe delay? Are there peculiar challenges that potential voters are going through?
Well, the challenges here in Enugu on PVC collection are were shortage of INEC staff because of the hype on collection of PVCs in churches, in the marketplaces, in workplaces. A lot of people, hundreds of intending voters always scrounge the INEC collection centers, but they stay there all day long. They wait from morning to night because their time, INEC time, it says 9 a.m. to 3 p.m., Monday to Saturday. And the number of people in each unit outweighs the number of staff. It takes them a long time to be attended to, and some of them are getting frustrated. There was a particular case in New Haven where the staff comes to work and keeps pressing his phone, is not attentive, answering calls, and people will be queuing, waiting. We had to intervene. The correspondents went there and asked him to be up and doing and attend to people. Then there's also a complaint by INEC of uncollected PVCs. And these uncollected PVCs, some of them bear strange names, like people maybe who came on youth service, they have served and gone away from the city of Enugu, and their cards are still there. There are also federal workers who have gone on transfer for years, and their PVCs are there. Then I met a registrant who complained that he only had a temporary voter PVC. So I was asking him, what were you waiting for all this while? Has INEC ordered that permanent voters card could be replaced with the temporary cards? Are they allowed to vote? These are the issues. It's just the same problems we are facing in Lagos, Port Harcourt, and everywhere. The INEC staff is they're under service. They have to come up with many people that will see that people also who go there morning to night will get the results of standing up in the sun and waiting. The wait is too long and it's frustrating a lot of people. They have to, now that they have finished with local government PVC collection, they're now in the cities, which makes the number of people larger than the works. And very soon that one will also elapse. I wonder what will happen to people who have not collected or who have gone there several times without success. These are the issues that INEC really has to address to make sure that everybody gets a chance to vote in this coming election.
Well, Chidano, thank you very much there for your report. But give us a sense of the staffing arrangement at the collection center. I mean, you did talk about a staff who obviously was more concerned with using his or her phone than attending to registrants who had come to collect their PVCs. Say at a collection point, how many persons are attending to the crowd of persons who are in there?
There are different sizes of collection centers. Like somewhere in Okpara Square is a large place. You have like 8 to 10 units where you come and the names are arranged alphabetically. If you're like me, you go to A. You stand in there and within 5 minutes, like you said, you get your card. But there are places where you have just one person at a center. One person, one INEC person waiting for everybody to be attended to. And there are also places you go there, you see 2 people. But the commitment is what we're asking from INEC. The commitment, the kind of social orientation to these people who are working, we should know that there is a deadline. When there is a deadline, there should be a double energy to put into what you are doing to ensure that nobody is differentialized.
All right, Chigonu, thanks a lot. We'll come back to you in the course of the conversation. Now let's go over to Lafia, the capital of Nasarawa State in the north central part of the country. And our correspondent was earlier introduced, and she says Sadatu Awal Salihu. Sadatu, what is happening in Lafia and elsewhere in Nasarawa?
Okay, the situation here in Lafia is quite different from other states because the INEC here were able to make the process easier by decentralizing the process into ward by ward. at the initial stage, the problem the people face is that there was low turnout. So with the coming of using different way of sensitizing them on the importance of getting their PVC, led them to come out and start collecting their own PVC now. But the process has been easier, though some people are facing challenges. And the challenges the people are facing is that some of them that came to get their PVC, they could not get it because of the way they wrote their names, they misspell their names, and some said it's not even about misspelling their names, but they came several times, but they didn't issue the card to them. And the total number that registered in Nasarawa State is 1.8 million people that registered as voters that they are going to vote in the next coming election. But they have a lot of cards at the initial stage, and people are not coming to collect it. So they have to use their own mobility by going around to sensitize them to come and collect their own voters card so that they can get it before the time.
All right, so
collection is not by proxy, because people have to come and collect their voters card before they have to come by themselves and do biometric before they can be issued their own voters card. I think that's so far what is happening here in Nasarawa.
Please clarify that for us again, in terms of process and procedure. When you have your registration slip, what else is required for you to be given your card?
Okay, you need to be using you have to check, you have to come with your receipt. There's a small card you'll be given to come and present it before you'll be giving that receipt, and you'll be using thumbprint to ensure that you are the one that collected that card by yourself, because the collection by proxy is not allowed.
Okay, so that's an interesting point that you've just raised there. Thanks a lot. We'll come back to you as with other correspondents in our different locations. We'd like to thank you very much for the situation report that you have given to us. So we'll come back now to our studios, and before we bring in the INEC Deputy Director, let's also hear from Yaga, the Program Manager is here in the studios, Yetunde Bakari. What is it that Yaga has been putting together with regard to the collection of PVCs nationwide?
All right, thank you very much. So across the correspondents who are giving their feedback, Yaga is also monitoring the process. And one thing that we observed also is the late resumption of INEC staff at these centers. We provided support to INEC by deploying volunteers to assist with crowd control. And we deployed 181 volunteers in Lagos and in Abuja to just assist INEC at the ward level to ensure, one, that the process is seamless, there's more coordination in crowd management. That has proven very interesting, and I also heard the point about communication. Access to information is also one thing that citizens do not have. Where do they collect their permanent voters card, right? Where do they go? Where is the location of the ward? When it was at the INEC local government offices, for example, how many people know where these offices are located? So what Yaga did was to provide that information to citizens. So we collaborated with INEC to set up the SMS services where citizens send their registration area and the name of their ward, and they get an automated response with the address of where they're going to collect their permanent voters card. And that has proven very, very effective, because if that did not happen, we will still have a lot of citizens who would not know where to collect their permanent voters card across the country. And that has reached over 500,000 Nigerians who have used that service. One other issue that they raised up that we also observed is the collection by proxy, where citizens who go to this ward to collect their permanent voters card would see the cards of their friends, their families, and they would ask
if they could collect for their relatives. And in some instances it is issued, and in some it's not. Another issue that we also observed is how they are attending to marginalized people living with disabilities, pregnant women, nursing mothers who go to these collection centers with their babies. We know that on election day, these people are given priority. But at the point of collection for their permanent voters card, no priority is given to this set of people. They wait long hours at the collection center to collect their cards. And so these are some of the issues that, I would like INEC to also address. I think the last point I'd like to also make is the issue of those who do not get their cards because of multiple registration, right? So INEC has this data, INEC has the information on citizens who did multiple registration. So I think the most logical thing that INEC would have done is to send messages to these people that your cards are not ready for pickup. Because of this reason, we did multiple registration. So it saves people the long hours that they have to spend at the collection center. They stay on the queue for hours, and it gets to their turn, and we tell them they cannot get their cards, or their cards are not going to be printed, right? So for another instance is for those whose cards are not ready. So INEC had said that the cards are printed in batches, right? So some people go there and their cards are also not ready. There is no communication that has gone out to them, especially for those whose cards are not ready, informing them that their cards are not being printed. They'll be printed and will be available for collection on a particular date. So in some centers that we observe the collection process, citizens were told to come back on the 25th. That was before it was extended. So the conversation is, if you're telling them to come back on the 25th when the exercise is supposed to have ended, that means you're disenfranchising them, because they are not going to get their cards because the process would have ended. But INEC has also not made any concerted efforts in communicating to those whose cards are not printed yet on when exactly those cards will be printed and available, and where they can collect those cards. So these are some of the issues that we're observing across the...
Let me also ask you, what specifically is the responsibility of the supports, people that you have added to INEC? What exactly are they supposed to be doing within those centers? That's one. And did you also observe INEC's strength in terms of the number of people, the ratio of INEC staff to the crowd? And lastly, in terms of requirement for collection of PVCs, as you must have heard from Sedato, is there a uniform requirement, or in some places, there are specific requirements for certain locations and all that? Did you observe that? So the volunteers, who we've called the voting squad, a group of young people who are volunteering their time to support the process under a campaign called the Youth Vote Count, which is just mobilizing young people to participate in the electoral process. Now, what these volunteers do is to assist with crowd control. One of the correspondents also spoke about the number of people who show up at this polling unit, and there seems to be no coordination. So they're just sitting, in early Ligbe, for example, people go as early as 4 a.m. They write a list, and before INEC gets there, they're waiting a list of over 1,000 people already before INEC staff get there. And so what the volunteers do is to ensure that it's coordinated. Call them according to the numbers that they've written. And we've also seen that citizens are also taking control of the process by organizing themselves. We've seen citizens who are the ones coordinating the crowd by themselves, coordinating themselves. So the volunteers do not have direct access to the cards. What they're doing is just to provide support, crowd control to those who come to collect their permanent voters card. And to the second question on the ratio. So according to INEC guideline on the permanent voters card collection, so there's supposed to be 3 staff, 2 issuance officer and a help desk, right? So the 2 issuance officers are the ones who will sort the cards, who would issue the card, and ensure that the citizens who go there to print and acknowledge that they are the owners of the card. But when you look at the ratio, we can't say that the number is sufficient across board. So
we've also observed that in some collection centers where they have huge number, INEC deployed more staff, more personnel to manage that process. While in some states where in some collection centers where there are low number of people who show up to collect their cards, say 10 people, we can say that the number is sufficient because there are just 3 people who are managing the process. But INEC can also do better. It's also the question of whether INEC have the capacity to mobilize as much staff to these collection centers where they have high footfall of people who are visiting to collect their permanent voters card. INEC is here. INEC can answer that response. But I think what we want to see, now that it has gone to the local government offices, that they are able to mobilize their personnel to adequately man the collection points within the INEC local government offices. I also heard one of the correspondents say that the cards were sorted alphabetically, but in the centers where we observed, they were not sorted alphabetically. They were sorted according to polling units, right? Because it's a lot easier to do that, so that once people come with their slip that has a delimitation of their polling unit, is easy to find. And when you sort it alphabetically, it's very, very difficult because you're mixing the cards from different polling units together. To the last point on the requirements, what INEC had said is that what you need to collect your permanent voters card is the registration slip that was issued at the point of registration. However, we observed that some people don't have the registration slip anymore, or that when they go to the collection center, the ink on the collection slip has washed off, so there's no information on it. And what INEC also did was to the portal on where you can verify your information, the voters.inecnigeria.org. So we saw a lot of people visiting that website. So you visit that website, enter your relevant information, take a screenshot of it, and present it to the issuance officer. So we've also seen some reports that you can go with either another means of identification, your NIN slip, you can go with your identification card, your driver's license. But what INEC has continually insisted on is the registration slip that was issued to you, or your temporary slip for those who registered between 2011 and 2019.
All right. Thanks a lot, Yetunde, for the in-depth report you have also provided along with our correspondents. Just before we bring in Mrs. Oladunjoye of INEC,
taking notes.
Yes, clarify this one point. You talked about IAGA observing the lateness of INEC staff. What was the average lateness to the collection points? They're supposed to resume, they say come and collect between 9 a.m. and 3 p.m. What was the average resumption time?
Okay, so in some centers, they resumed as late as 11. In the FCT, in some collection centers, they resumed as late as 11. However, it could be because the cards are being sorted at the local government office before they go to the collection center. In Lagos, that we also observed as well. So in some collection centers, they are there 10 a.m. on Saturdays, Sundays, which is the weekend. Sundays, they are there late as well. There's no reason why I can say they got there late, but these are the trends that we observed in the centers that we deployed to.
All right, thank you very much, Yetunde. Now let's bring in the Deputy Director of ICT at INEC, Bimbo Oladunjoye. There are a number of issues on the table, so take them one after the other, and then we also pop our own questions.
Thank you very much. I feel like a lamp on this letter slab this morning, but I'll try to see how I can answer most of the questions. I tried to take down some notes, and maybe I'll start with what Yetunde talked about. That's late resumption of our staff. Like we know, the resumption time is 9 a.m. It's 9 a.m. and then they close at 3 p.m. But one of the issues that could account for late resumption, I'm not giving an excuse right now. I know everybody's supposed to resume at 9, and close at 3. Could be this issue of the sorting of cards after the day's job. Now, at the end of the day, because of the chaos and a lot of things that happen at the centers, they go back and then they try to see how they can resort the cards.
Now, somebody mentioned earlier that the cards are sorted alphabetically. What I know is most times they sort according to PUs. Then even within the PUs, they bind those cards alphabetically because I was at 1 or 2 centers, so that makes it easier. So by the time rush comes, a lot of things comes during distribution of the issuance of cards. So many things happen. So they try to early in the morning try to sort themselves out and get to the field. But this is noted because the time frame is shorter now. So we need to let them know they need to do this the previous day before they close, and then make sure that they resume earlier. Now, so I'll go to the other issues that were raised about. One was I was surprised when I heard from the guy in Lagos when he said that collection time is about 15-20 minutes per person. So what I did was to quickly look at the collection of Lagos yesterday, and I noticed that Lagos had over 20-something thousand collection PVCs that were collected yesterday. So I think if that had happened, then I don't think they would have been able. 14,000 cards. They wouldn't have been able to do that. And LGA.
Well, Lagos doesn't have one collection point.
Yes, no, I know, because I'm trying to go down now to an LGA. For instance, Etiosa issued 6,421 PVCs yesterday. So if it had gone at that rate, they wouldn't have been able to achieve that. Yes, I know.
I'm sorry to interject.
Yes, sir.
Etiosa is an upscale part of Lagos. He was talking about locations such as Okota and Mushi, highly populated. Unlike Etiosa, Etiosa will include Ikoyi, for instance, Lekki Phase 1, and Victoria Island.
Yeah. So, like I said, it's not as bad as he said, but I understand the fact that it takes a lot of time to yes. No, it's noted. I just want to bring that out. Yes. So that's noted, and we try to see how we can have better strategies to enable people collect their cards faster. A lot of issues happen at point of collection. Some people come, they don't bring their slips, they don't bring any other form of identification. So it becomes difficult to really identify because we must know the polling unit the person registered into. So these are some of the things that could delay collection of cards. And I know the issue of multiple registration too does some delay because a lot of people come to the centers to register. I mean, when we're doing registration, they register multiple times. Yesterday, a case came to me and I checked and I noticed that even during the CVR, the continuous registration process, the person registered 4 times. And the person also had an existing registration that he did in 2011. So then the person would come with a card that had been removed because of our deduplication process. So by the time they start checking and then they start checking before they now get to know that okay, this one has been rejected. So these are some of the issues that we also have. And I want to encourage Nigerians.
Yeah, sorry, just on that issue, because Yaga also made an observation of responsibility on the part of INEC to be able to reach those who fall within those category, and you have invalidated. So what stopped INEC from also reaching out to those people, because their details are with you? It's also part of your responsibility, INEC's responsibility, isn't it?
Yes, it is. So that's where I was actually going to. But one, we have a voter verification system online where voters can go check the status of their registration before they go to our centers. So additionally to what she has said and what you've said now, we're going to, as from today, as a new we're going to start putting those details there. So if we put an information that has been invalidated by INEC, we're going to let you know, okay, this particular card has been invalidated. You can't collect it, so they will know beforehand. But right now, before people go to the centers, they can go to inecnigeria.org/VVS and confirm their verification status. But this update will be put there immediately today. I'm sure we're going to be able to do that. Then main centers to pick up. Well, we actually had the list of centers on the Commission's website immediately where we started the CVR registration, the PVC collection process. And I must also thank Yoga because Yoga was able to help us with information dissemination. We gave them the centers. FCT was a little complicated during the RA distribution because we had people collecting. We had centers beyond the RAs. So an RA, for instance, she mentioned Libe Primary School, which was a collection center. We had to. Libe Primary School was not the original collection center. It's supposed to be somewhere in Karusa, but because of the crowd and everything, the large number of persons registered in Karusa ward, they came to help, and I think we opened about 4 centers within Lugbe and its environment. So that was able to to really help us during that time, and it helps to disseminate such information. So we had to go down to disseminate information based on the polling units. So if you register in this polling unit, this is your collection center, you don't bother going there. So we've been working with Yega and a few other CSOs that have signified interest in assisting us in dissemination of information down to voters. On shortage of INEC staff, I think I need to talk about that, because INEC has guidelines for PVC distribution, PVC collection, and in the guidelines, at every center, now that we're back at the local government area, at every center we have multiple collection points. We don't have just 2 or 3 persons. So what INEC instructed, and which I think a lot of the LG officers are doing, is to have one person manning 2 registration areas. So if an LGA has 10 registration areas, for instance, we're going to have 5 collection points, so that one person now handles people that come for 2 RAs. And I think that has helped. I realize that a lot of places now have canopies and chairs, and then they let people know if you come to collect your PVC and you belong to a particular RA, then you go on a particular queue. So in most of the centers, we should have like 5 different queues, 5 different collection points, to make sure that the collection process is faster. But all these observations have been noted, and I think we need to do something to make it easier for people to collect cards in the next few days before.
All right, just a very good point for us to take a short break. Deputy Director ICT INEC Bimbo Oladunjoye giving us clarifications. So you're watching Good Morning Nigeria live on the network service. Don't go away. When we come back, we'll continue with more conversation.
Everywhere you go, from banks to hospitals to public offices, mass transit stations, airports, and even telecommunication centers, senior citizens are treated as nuisances. They are not. They are senior members of our society, and they deserve the utmost respect. We shouldn't be having our aged fathers and mothers standing in long queues to withdraw their monies at banks. Our retired senior citizens shouldn't be caught standing in buses for lack of seats or chasing after one just to get to their destination. Senior citizens shouldn't have to sit long hours in hospital corridors with no geriatric specialist to attend to them. Our senior citizens deserve better treatment from all of us. They deserve to be listened to. They are deserving of seat reservations on public buses and priority attendance in public spaces. As young people, we are quick to say, no one owes you. This is not true. We owe the elderly members of our society a helping hand, our services, and respect. Age-friendly societies have more senior citizens enjoying good health, living safely, and engaging in meaningful community work than those who do not. Dignifying age-friendly services for senior citizens.
Welcome back. You're watching Good Morning Nigeria, and at this point we would like to hear the responses from some Nigerians across the street.
It has not been easy, but it's stressful. They should be the way they should arrange it better, easier collection. Because we can see that it's still around there, it's still crowded here.
I'll be facing a lot of
things though. I went to INEC office Alabaka, they transfer me to Odaro. I went to Odaro, they can transfer me here. It's still not there.
This one is too stressful. I've been here to collect my PVCs all this day and I could not. I should go to the office at Odaro by Monday or Tuesday. It's unfair. That's why somebody, I was intentional. I was not my mind to be coming and be going because I want to vote.
The exercise was okay. I collected in this place. Everything is perfect.
The collection of my PVC is very easy and it's very fast.
All right, the cross-section of Nigerians there telling us their experience with the PVC collection. Let's come back to the studios, and the INEC Deputy Director is still here with us, Mrs. Bimbo Oladunjoye. There are a number of issues still unanswered, and these issues were raised either by our correspondent or by the IAGA program manager. One, are all PVCs now available? Because there was a time when it was reported that not all PVCs had been printed. And so persons who went earlier, said sometime in December, couldn't get theirs because they said the PVCs were not ready. So are all PVCs now available? That's the first question, and I'll pop others.
Okay, so thank you. All PVCs are available. And while people are going to collect their cards, we actually have a complaints desk where issues with PVCs not that they didn't see, maybe because they weren't pretending or somehow they just were not available for pickup. So there's a complete desk at every center, every collection center. And as at last week, Thursday or Friday, we harvested all the issues raised by voters, that issues concerning the PVCs not being printed. So we were able to harvest all that, and it's about 100 and something thousand of such issues that were raised on the complaints desk. And right now, INEC is by the end of today should complete printing of those cards. For instance, Lagos cards have been sent to them. Lagos can pick up their cards over the weekend. So all the complaints that people raised while they went to pick up their cards are right now being addressed urgently, so that those cards can get back to the states and then people can pick the cards before the deadline.
The deadline is January 29th. It stands, is it?
It does, sir.
All right. So which means we have like 5 days to the expiration of collection of PVCs. How many PVCs were expected to be collected during this period? And how many PVCs still remain uncollected? You have an idea?
Okay, yes. So right now, about 82 million PVCs have been collected nationwide, and we have 93.4 million registered voters. So this means that we still have about 11 million PVCs uncollected nationwide.
Okay. Including those the invalidated ones.
No, without invalidated ones.
Okay, so we're talking about
valid registrations.
Valid registrants. 11 million of them still to collect their PVCs, and they have the next 5 days throughout the country to collect those PVCs. Let's return to
yes. Those who fall within the category of multiple registration and those you mopped up earlier, what happens to them now?
Okay, so those that were removed, because we actually removed them at point of processing, so we didn't print cards for them. They were actually
intended to either relocate because of relocation. They want to, transfer and then
they need new registrations. Yes. So bad enough, there's nothing we can do, because they were not supposed to have done fresh registration. They were supposed to have transferred. And interestingly, we had over 4 million persons who actually did transfers nationwide. So, but some didn't know and then did fresh registration. But we can't keep 2 registration of a person in the registered voter. So we have to knock out the most recent, because there's also an assumption that it's possible that the person had picked up the initial card for the first registration.
Okay. Thank you very much, Bimbo Oladunjoye. Let's return to our correspondents. I want to begin with our correspondent in Port Harcourt, the capital of Rivers State, Kingsley Amajiri. Kingsley, well, there was reports in some parts of the country earlier, it was also debunked, about discriminatory issuance of PVCs, that if your name didn't seem to have sounded right in a particular location, you were not immediately given your PVCs. In other words, you were sent to the frustrating lines. You had to wait to say, oh, your PVC wasn't ready, and so on and so forth. Did you pick up any such issues around rivers? That's one. And secondly, what's been the role of civil society groups and political parties, who are the beneficiaries ultimately of the use of PVCs, in seeking to mobilize registrants to go get their PVCs?
Okay, the first question you asked about discriminatory practices in terms of distribution of PVCs within the areas I personally have visited in terms of monitoring or coverage, I did not witness such. And to be candid as well, I've not heard of such, that people are discriminated talking about PVC collection. When it comes to the role of civil society, well, they are doing the little they can, but not quite much. For political parties, I see increasing tempo. When you go to campaigns, you see politicians, those seeking for elective position, talking about the issue of collection of PVC. They are asking their supporters to ensure that they collect these PVCs. But I have not seen any arrangement where people are mobilized in terms of bringing a vehicle to move people to either to community level or to areas distant from the location to go and collect this PVC. But in terms of sensitization, political parties are doing this. Candidates are also doing that within Port Harcourt and within the communities outside Port Harcourt. There is this tempo, even within church. Some churches are equally doing this. While the clergy come up the altar to preach the gospel, they also tell their members to ensure that they collect the PVC. That mobilization or sensitization and awareness is very active here in Port Harcourt.
Okay, Kingsley, let me also ask you, I don't know if you've been able to visit the riverine areas. You know, usually during such exercises, these are the areas that are heavily impacted one way or the other. I don't know what information you are getting with regards to PVC collections in areas like Andoni, for instance, Abuja, Edua, Opobo, Bonni, and all that. Is there anything you're hearing about the process and the conduct of INEC officials?
Well, to be candid, I have not actually visited the coastal communities, but I think INEC, what they did when they went to the various registration areas, they mobilized their personnel to the 319 wards when they went to the various locations. And frankly speaking, there have not been any complaint to my knowledge from these coastal areas to say that the PVCs are not there. They are there. Where we also have this surge initially, where in the city centers, because these are Port Harcourt and Abuja, but this is area where we have too many persons that did this registration. But in the coastal areas, I mean the hinterlands and the communities, the pressures are not much as it is within Port Harcourt and Abuja, which is the metropolitan city councils of Harcourt. And don't also forget, I want to also bring to the knowledge of the INEC officials. We will talk about the issue of there are people that did transfer from one location to the other, and their processes, according to them, why they did the registration was successful. But at the point of election, their cards are not available, and they are asked to go to the local government desk, PVC desk officers at the local government area. And eventually, some of them did turn up, but the concerns are still there. The possibility of them getting this card before the deadline, I don't see it feasible from the observations. And these set of persons will eventually be disenfranchised if INEC stick to this deadline of the 9th of January.
All right, Kingsley Amajiri, you probably will have to tell our viewers the meaning of Amajiri, because some of them would probably conflate it with Al-Majiri, which is a different one. I'm sure before we sign you off, we'll have the benefit of that translation. Amajiri, thank you very much for your response. Let's go over to Enugu, where Chigonu Aro also had been with us earlier. Chigonu, now tell us something. It is true that in the air and at various locations, at various points, potential voters are being encouraged to go get their PVCs that will entitle them to cast their votes next month and also in March. From our conversation this morning, we do know that there are issues around the process and processing. What is it that you've heard in terms of the content of the messaging? Are these persons who are saying, look, show me your PVC or go get your PVC, are they also enlightening these persons to whom they are speaking to say, look, if you did double registration, you might not get your PVC. If you don't follow XYZ process or procedure, you might also not get your PVC. If you registered somewhere, what is the content of the messaging? Does it forewarn them as to the challenges that they might face and therefore the kind of patience that they will need to have or to enable them troubleshoot? Chigonu.
Oh, thank you, Kingsley. The challenge, the charge there is to make sure that the 2023 general election is done in free, fair, and legislative pattern. They want everybody that is of the voting age to have the access to select a leader. And they also tell them the implications of not having the PVC. The PVC now is like a license for you to make a choice. It is like the power to select a leader. It's like a mantle of true leadership. It's like something that you have been yearning for, and you have been given an opportunity to make a choice, and you're dancing around the choice. So they make it clear to everybody that this is the time to say enough is enough for a good leadership. That's all they say. And then for the challenges they encounter, they also know that it's not easy for you to go to a collection center and just pick your card and move on. You have to pay some sacrifice. This is the time for sacrifice, and the churches are not left out. The market women are being told. The workers in the offices, it's like a mantra. It's like a mantra. Pick your PVC. In everything that you do, you hear, have you picked your PVC? So everybody's responding to that clarion call. That is the situation here in Enugu now.
Okay, Chijano, I want to still stay with you just to, get some more information about the enlightenment, of the people in Enugu. Is it that because some of the issues that you have raised, you have put the blame on INEC? Is it also that, the people are not also properly or do not have a better understanding of what they should do? Does that also speak to the level of awareness, of what the people should do, to get their PVCs?
Well, INEC knows that this is a challenging time for them. They know the time is, it's not easy for INEC either, because they cannot start bringing in new stuff. I know they have ad hoc staff who will work for them, and their own person, the staff that they have, there's no way the INEC staff can match with the number of people seeking to pick their PVCs. So definitely they are employing ad hoc staff. They are looking for people to help them do it. Because after now, they will still need ad hoc staff, even basically during the election time. Because this number of people that came to pick their PVCs are still going to fronge voting centers during the elections. So the INEC is doing what they know best to do, but their hands are tied. The staff are not enough. So they are doing everything possible to come around the number of people they meet on daily basis at the PVC picking centers.
All right. Thank you very much for the responses you've given to us from the coal city. That's Enugu. Back to Kano, Abdullahi Mustafa, our correspondent, is there. Abdullahi, we'll ask you the same question. What is the content of the messaging to the potential voters to go get their PVCs? Are they outlining what the challenges might be and then what they need to do when they do get there? That's one. And secondly, and this is an issue that we haven't really touched on. Look, let's be realistic. From the very beginning, INEC did say that weekends were also included for the collection of the PVCs. Did people take advantage of the weekends where traffic might have been much lower for them to go get their PVCs, or they are going on work days? I will lie. Sorry, there's some audio distortion from you, Abdullahi. We hope you can sort that out before we close the program, and then we'll get back to you to respond to that question. Now to Lafayette, Nasarawa State, Saudatu Salihu is still there, I hope, with her latest response to our questions. Saudatu, I want to ask you the same question. The content of messaging, along, of course, the lines that the other correspondents have also responded. And are you hopeful that from your observation that perhaps there might be no complaints in terms of inability to collect PVCs after the 29th of January?
Actually, what they did here in Nasarawa State is that they ensure that everyone got their own PVC, though it's not everybody that was able to go there and get their own PVC because of the low turnout. But with the use of this sensitization and introducing new methods of telling them the importance of it in marketplaces and so many places like where people normally gather, they were able to sensitize them on the need to get that PVC before the election time. And I think from the available information gotten, people have really got their own PVC more than the way they started at the beginning.
All right, let's get back to the studio here, and of course, Yetunde, my question is to you, and this is, okay, we have Lagos. We will just take Lagos. Let me just quickly ask this question. I'm sorry. Is there in any way, or is there a sense in which the application of tech, might have impacted one way or the other in this process?
Tech is already impacting the process.
Yes, making the collection of PVCs, throwing up those challenges
more seamless than it currently is. Yes, I think technology can help, and technology is currently doing that. I mean, the INEC portal where you can verify your information has proven very valuable for those who have misplaced their registration slip. At the collection points, I think technology can also be better harnessed. So the time that it takes to sort, for example, if it is sorted using technology,
the issuance officer, who perhaps would have a laptop, can quickly search and you know where to pick the PVC up in the boxes where they are packed. It saves time that they use in sorting each of the cards individually.
Yes, because it's done manually.
Yes, so he spoke about the time that it takes to issue one card to one person. So I think that there is a gap that technology can fill at that point. We can use technology a lot more than we're currently doing, and we also continue to support INEC the best way that we can.
Okay, Yetunde, thank you very much. Let's return to Joel Popola, our correspondent in Lagos. Look, Joel, you have to hear this kind of complaint from some of our viewers. Collection of PVC is not a re-registration process. In other words, the issuing officer doesn't need to take down your data and recapture you and so on and so forth. It is that, look, you have your slip. If you don't have it, then you don't qualify. The cards have been printed. The cards are right there. So why would it appear to be so cumbersome? Tell us what you would like to see that could accelerate the process. Is it insufficient deployment of staff? In other words, they could do with more hands. Late resumption of staff, in which case they could resume much earlier, because if they say that work resumes at 9, I think that is wrong. Banks open at 8 o'clock. Before 8 o'clock, the banking staff are already in the bank. So they open their doors to customers from 8 o'clock, and they would have sorted themselves out. So is it that INEC staff who are doing this are reporting at 9 o'clock before they start arranging things, some of them using their telephones and so on and so forth? Joel, quickly. Yes.
Expecting voters more about how the process voters more about. They need to give them a sense of assurance that you will get your PVC. All you need to do is to be patient, and in some areas that they have a high population, they need to deploy more personnel to fast track the process.
Bimbo or Lagunjoy, and this is very briefly. Students are part of this, whole population expected to cast a vote. Right now, school is in session. Some of them would have, registered, in their various locations. What happens to this, group of students who probably will not be, because you have said no collection by proxy?
So, during the Christmas New Year break, INEC was distributing Asian PVCs, and I guess most of those children were home for the unitary period. So many of them actually just had the opportunity to pick up their cards. But for those who couldn't pick up their cards before they went back to school, it's going to be difficult for them to be able to get cards to
because it's not their fault.
Yes, it isn't their fault, but we need to stop
those whose cards are not ready even before they went back to school. Probably those cards are ready now, and they are not available at the points of collection. And you're saying there's nothing INEC can do for them?
I'm sure that's clear. We're getting signals that we are almost overrunning. It's an issue we'll take up subsequently on Good Morning Nigeria, on which note we'd like to thank all our 7 guests who have been with us this morning here in the studios. Yetunde Bakare, program manager at Yaga Africa, and also we had Bimbo Oladunjoye, Deputy Director ICT, Independent National Electoral Commission. We have our correspondents, NTA from Port Harcourt, Kingsley Amajiri, from Enugu, Chigonu Aro, from Kano, we had Abdullahi Mustafa, from Lagos, Joe Popola, and from Lafia, Nasarawa State, Saudatu Awal Salihu. We thank you all for your wonderful contributions to our discussion this morning. On which note we end today's program. Join us again tomorrow, same time, 7 o'clock in the morning. I'm Kingsley Osadolo.
I'm Claire Adelabo Abdulrazak. Always join us in the campaign against rape and rapists. From all of us, bye-bye.
Abuja.